All right, guys, what is up? This is Comic Hour. I am joined today by Skull Ryan and a
Hello.
new person. We have Amen Stash. How are you
Hello,
guys doing?
guys. Thank you for having me.
Hey, all right, pal. We're here to
Nice.
talk
Pretty
about a
good.
bit of Spider-Man, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So today's podcast is about Spider-Man, the trilogy. So we're talking about the Tobey Maguire one, not the other ones.
Oh God, no.
and yeah, and pretty excited to talk about those three great movie. Uh, like I said, we have Emin Stash joining us. Emin Stash has his own YouTube channel. If you don't know his channel, please check it out. It's a great channel. I'm a big fan, and we're
Thank
happy
you.
that you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
honestly, it's a great joy to be here. When you guys messaged me about it, I was pretty excited to hop on.
thank you
And
for
Nice.
yeah,
that. We're always looking for new people, and the more the merrier, right, Skull?
Absolutely, pal. Yeah.
Great, awesome. So, today we are doing Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire trilogy from, I believe, 2000s to 2008. Is that right?
2002 to 6, I thought, innit? First one in 2002, second in 2004, and then it might have been 2007, actually.
No, I
It was
think
You
you
know
only-
what ones with me.
were. Score.
I remember there was
that's
there was 9/11 something, wasn't there? Like the poster, you could see the Twin Towers in his mask, like one of the first trailers, and then it
Yeah.
went down.
yeah, they had to edit it out. Yeah,
Yeah. So it must have
Yeah,
been
you know,
after
Spider-Man
2001.
3 would have been. Yeah, Spider-Man 3 would have been 207.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. 2002 was the first one. I remember that because I was I was in high school. I was in high school, and I believe it was towards the summer that I went to see it, and yeah, I remember that year specifically. It was like what 20 something years ago.
Yeah, I was
So,
7. You were in
yeah.
high school. I was friggin' 7.
And yeah, I mean it brings back a lot of memories. It was the first real Spider-Man movie. I mean, when they made the announcement that a Spider-Man movie was coming out, I was so excited, guys. I mean, we before that we had what, X-Men's. We never really had a Spider-Man movie out. We had what, Batman, Superman, but nothing like Spider-Man. So this was something new. It was something that we've never seen before. So a lot of the people they didn't know what to expect. What did you guys think when you heard the news that they were coming out with a Spider-Man movie?
I'll let you go first.
Well, the thing is, when I was basically just like, it was already out when I was a kid. So I was just lucky enough to have like the DVDs just always on standby to watch. So I'd probably just burn through them like every single day, especially with the cartoons. And I always loved
Yeah.
the Tobey Maguire movies, especially the first one. That's like the one that's always stayed my favorite.
Nice.
Purely because it feels like a comic book movie to me. Like if out of all the movies that we've seen, that one feels like it's been raped straight out of a book.
Yeah, when it kept randomly cutting to like Oscorp and he was developing weapons, that you're like, what's this got to do with nerdy Peter Parker back in Queen? Yeah, I thought that watching it.
Or even just like the moments like the first Green Goblin fight with Spider-Man. And the whole part where he shouts like, "We'll meet again, Spider-Man."
Yeah,
Like that
it
is
is genuine.
that's like straight from a comic book. And that's what I love about it.
He was probably my favorite bit in the whole thing. Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin.
Yeah, like he honestly embodied that role. That's-
Yeah, absolutely, guys. When they got Tobey Maguire to be the guy, I really the world, I think, didn't know who Tobey Maguire was. I know for myself, I didn't know who he was at all. I didn't know what to expect. But when he became Spider-Man, I mean, he nailed it. He became Peter Parker, and we could talk about the cast, and we could say that this, they could put this person in this role, this person in this role. But I did, whenever Tobey Maguire was acting as Spider-Man, I thought that he was really truly meant for that role. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, whenever I see him in anything else, my first thought is, oh, there's Peter Parker.
Yeah, especially like I think the first two. There was something about the third where I thought he just looked a bit off. I don't know if it was just his like physique wasn't as good as the first two, but
Yeah.
it was just like a bit odd seeing like the slow transition between each movie. But in the first one, you can't really fault him at all.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite, just the way he looked. The second was probably my favorite acting, but yeah, the first one, like he looked like Peter Parker to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he got time to like develop the role, and he was like training pretty hard for the first one physically. I remember him saying in the interviews that he was training like 6 days a week. I mean, 6 days a week, 4 hours a day. He was definitely in his best shape on the first one. But
But
yeah,
there was the
guys.
test footage, wasn't there? And he
Yep.
looked
So
ripped in the test footage.
yeah. So basically, Sam Raimi, the director, knew that he always wanted Tobey Maguire to be Peter Parker. He knew from the get-go. But then the executive, or like a Marvel or the studios, they still were second guessing whether Tobey Maguire should be Peter Parker. So basically, he did a scene, an action scene, where he had his shirt off, and he was wearing the Spider-Man pants, the blue pants, and he was like ripped, and he was kicking the bad guy's ass,
Yeah,
and
he looked good
basically
as.
after that screen test, I'm sorry, they chose to basically go with him. It's funny that we talked about screen tests and everything because did you guys know that Harry Osborn, James Franco, actually he tried on to be Peter Parker, so he tried for the role of Spider-Man, but he didn't get it. And then once he didn't get it, they asked him, "Hey, do you want to be Harry Osborn instead?" And of
Oh, that's
course he
cool. I
took
didn't know
it.
that.
Yeah. So he took it, and I think that the chips fell where they fell. It was destiny, because when Tobey Maguire plays Peter Parker, there's just something about that guy that makes Peter Parker is like he's so innocent. It's just like he's got that innocent
He's got the
vibe.
puppy dog eyes and that, and he's like, looks harmless, doesn't he? But then
Especially
Yeah.
that one
shredded.
scene, like where MJ's waving, and he thought he,
Oh, yeah.
waving at him, and he just looked so lost when he realized that her friends were just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quality.
so the you're talking about the bus scene, right? Where he goes in the bus, and then he thought that Mary Jane was basically looking at him or something, and then he got tripped by
When they
the
got
guy.
off
It's
it,
in
they were
front
ready
of
to
the
go in.
museum or whatever they're going, yeah. She's like looking at him and waving, and he's like, oh god, it's happening finally. Waves
Yeah.
back,
Oh
and then Mary
yeah,
Jane's
you're
friends
right.
come up behind him, and he was waving to them. And he's like,
You're right.
puts his
Even
hand
just
down,
like
dead sheepish.
when he's like right behind her and he starts talking to himself,
Oh yeah,
and he's
creepy.
like,
that
"Hey
thing.
MJ, yeah, hey MJ, we've been neighbors for a while
Practicing.
now," and it's just like the definition of a loner and a loser. Like it's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah, and basically he's like taking pictures of her at the science museum or whatever, and yeah, and then like they get bullied by Flash, right? Flash comes through and trying to bullies them.
I
Yeah,
thought he was
Oh.
boss in this film, Flash.
I wouldn't want
I
to
thought-
be me either. Yeah.
I actually thought, yeah, I thought that Flash was actually the best Flash we ever got. Uh, but did you guys know that the Flash that played that Spider-Man, he's what is it called? He's in the DC universe. He's like
Yeah, he's
what
Deathstroke, wasn't he?
Deathstroke, yeah.
He's Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Joe
was-
Mangeli, or whatever you pronounce it, yeah. He was
No,
Deathstroke in
I didn't realize
Justice
he was
League or
Deathstroke.
something. Yeah,
That-
same
that
dude.
was Yeah, that's the same dude. And when he came on the what was it, Batman and Superman, when he came on at the end of the scene and we saw him, I didn't even know that he was I don't remember him from Spider-Man. I was just like, who the hell is this guy? And then the whole internet was saying that, oh, it's the guy he was Flash from Spider-Man. And I looked and I was like, wow, he changed a lot. you know
He looks good, yeah.
Yeah, he looks good. He got ripped. He's I think he's a lot taller, but but
I mean,
yeah,
like, it looks a bit weird sometimes, like just his appearance, because everyone looks remotely young, but then he looks like a random 30-year-old.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when he was turning
Like-
into Jaw Peter. I was like, this looks bad.
Yeah. Even on like the bus, like everyone just looks how they should at least, and then you got this random guy with MJ. Looks
like there's
her
MJ's
age.
dad.
Yeah, he wants to
He
fight
looks,
Peter next.
he looks like he flunked out of a couple classes.
While we're
always
talking
like-
about
I always
side
like the
characters,
Tasm one.
oh god, sorry.
I always liked the Tasm Flash. I always thought he was probably just.
Defoe. They were building him up, weren't they?
Yeah,
Which
I mean, from Andrew's films, I always thought like he looked the best and acted most like
He
Flash.
develops this Flash as a bully, and then he's just gone. Wow.
Well, they were
Flash
the
in
only
the
one that
Andrew
really
films.
tackled it as well. Like when he transitioned from a bully to more Peter's friend.
Yeah, so as soon as Uncle Ben dies in Andrew's film, he's like, all right, let's stop bullying Peter now.
Yeah, No Way Home bottled that shit. Like, I don't count
Oh,
the No
Christ,
Way
don't
Home
get me
Flash as
started.
like, yeah, like that's not Flash.
Oh god, no.
Yeah, they No Way Home. I mean, a lot of those actors, I just felt like they didn't fit the traditional comic book roles, But I know what you're saying, M. Stash, when you talked about the Flash in Andrew Garfield's movies, because that Flash, he looks like the Flash that they pull from Ultimate Spider-Man in
more
the
shorter
comics.
hair.
Yeah, with the blonde hair, right?
Yeah, I mean both had blonde, but he had the shorter hair in the Ultimate books, if I remember properly.
Yeah, he was a bit more of an ass in Ultimate as well. There was no like redeeming factors to him. He was just
he
a
was
dickhead
just
the whole time.
constantly. Yeah, even with like he'd bully Harry sometimes too in the Ultimate books. I think like he didn't really
Yeah.
give a shit who he was bullying.
They gave all the development to that Kong.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much a Bendis insert, wasn't it? I
It
feel like
definitely was. It looked just like him, and it shagged Kitty Pryde. So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they had to get
For sure.
something in.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about Flash. Basically, we'll come back to movie number one here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about like your favorite like scene. Like what did you guys like about movie number one? I mean, I know there's a lot of scenes where they were great scenes. But yeah, I'm just curious, what do you guys think?
I'll cheat. I'm going to say two, but it's really because it's one's right after the other. You get the montage when he's finally in the costume of him swinging around saving people. And everyone's like, you look up, you see the web, and you know Spider-Man was here.
Yeah, that's
And then that
good,
goes
yeah.
straight into J. Jonah Jameson, who's perhaps my favourite Marvel character ever. Straight away talking raw shit about him.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Well, J.K. Simmons nailed it too. You
Absolutely.
can't beat something like that. It's honestly just perfect.
Can I tell you my favorite scene in there? My
Yeah.
favorite scene in number one, Spider-Man number one, was when he was fighting the Goblin at the end, and then the Goblin had him pinned, and basically the glider came through. He had the Goblin pin. I'm sorry, and the glider
Yeah.
came from behind, and Spidey got his spider sense tingling, and he jumped to of the glider, and the glider pierces through Goblin. That was like one of my favorite scenes. I thought that they did that scene like perfectly. I was just so amazed by like the way it looked, the costumes, the way Peter Parker looks beat up and his mask is like half torn. I thought that scene was like, it was great. I mean, it was intense, and when I watched it, I was like, this is really good action. I love it. But
It was well better in the movie than in the comic, because that cool backflip he does in the film. In the comic, he literally just ducks. He's like, whoa, that nearly hit me, that.
Nice.
I mean,
What about you? Yeah, what about you, man, Stash?
Well, okay, one of like my favorite's pretty close to yours, so I'll give you like just two just to make up for it.
Nice.
Because the first one I was gonna say is that scene, but not like when Spider-Man is almost pinned and Green Goblin's winning the fight. And then as soon as he
Oh,
says
mate.
like I'm gonna finish MJ nice and slow, and then he like they quickly pan through his face and you just see like the pure like anger in it and the hatred. And then he catches the weapon and then like slowly gets up. Like that's Spider-Man. Like that is insane.
The Goblin in that scene's absolutely styling on him as well. He's doing
Yeah.
like flips for no reason, just to make sure Spidey knows he's beaten.
Even like that weird like old-timey horror aspect where he just breaks the web and all of a sudden the webs have a weird sort of like
Yeah, like
metal
metal
sound to them.
crunching. Yeah.
yeah, it's like it hasn't happened throughout the whole film except that one scene. But then
Yeah.
as like a massive Peter and MJ fan, if we like ignore majority of Kirsten Dunst's MJ,
Yeah.
I love the like upside down kiss scene. Just
Oh
like
yeah, fantastic.
it's almost like a play. Like even the way he fights, like the thugs, the way he
Yeah, without
moves
his mask.
Yeah, like but it's like almost like a Shakespeare play. Like just the way that they sort of shot it, and how elegantly like he moves around and how it's
Yeah.
all like so like you know that the whole like tension of the scene is between him and MJ and not the thugs.
Yeah, he like smashes one thug into like the window, and it's as you say, it's like
yeah.
you're on Broadway. It's suddenly boosh, glass. It's like overly dramatic, but in like the
Even
best
just like
way.
rewatching it now, like my head's sort of ruined from watching the superhero movie too many times. So I still also think about that one scene where Drake Bell's just sort of whacking the guy
It
into the side
falls
of the
down a
wall,
bit
like
too much.
And
yeah, like
you know,
continuously.
I don't think we've ever seen like an upside down kiss like that before in any superhero movies. I think that was the very first one.
Yeah, not like a unique.
Yeah, that was probably the most unique kiss like you could ever see in all of cinema. I think the upside down kiss. But in the comics, it did happen. I believe it did happen a couple times. But in the movie, when it happened the first time, that was the very first time it ever happened, and I think that's a great scene too. Yeah, thank you.
I saw that get referenced in The Simpsons like 2 weeks ago as well. So it's still
Well,
Nice.
like also like one thing about Peter and MJ that the movies really they need to capture is that those two are like actually freaky. Like they're really
yeah.
like as a couple, they are probably one of the weirdest couples you ever read.
Yeah, in
whether
issue
it's Peter
300, where she's like, take photos of me, Peter.
yeah, like
Yeah.
or when he got
I know
like
what
just
you
got out of the grave and he's been buried for however long.
Yeah.
They get straight
First
to
thing
it.
you
Or
know.
when he was in this, in the sewer, he gets back, goes straight. Like they're canon, like with canon, they're weird as.
Yeah, they are.
Like, I like how that was sort of like the furthest they've gone in cinema as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that was she was with Harry at that point as well in the movie, but she's
We
not
don't
asking.
talk
She,
about
yeah,
Well, she kind of she was with Harry, and then she jumped around, and then she went back with Peter, and then Spider-Man 3, she went back with Harry.
yeah.
Yeah,
As
but
far as
Harry
she
and
cheats
Peter,
on
like,
someone
are
in every
bonded.
movie.
It seems like it.
Yeah,
They're forever like linked now.
yeah,
Yeah, they all three of them are linked, I think.
yeah. Mate, she cheats on Harry in this one. She cheats on John in the second one, and then she cheats on Peter and Harry with each other in the third one. So what's that about? And this is who they're
Yeah.
fighting over. Ursula lives next door, mate.
Well,
I
we'll
feel so
technically
bad for her. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
especially with the cookie scene. Like, he was just using it for free food.
Yeah. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have to pay rent if you got with her, mate. Dad owns the building.
Nice.
You are a good man. I am a good man. You're
Yeah.
a good woman.
So let me ask you guys this: what did you guys think of like the CGI? Because when I look at the first Spider-Man, I thought the CGI was kind of poor, especially the scene when the Goblin comes down from like Times Square. It really looked like it really looked like 2D CGI. But then when you get to the third film, the CGI gets much better. But then again, during that time, I can't really blame them because the technology wasn't that great yet. Uh, when I look back at the first Spider-Man, I thought the CGI was like average, nothing special. But yeah, what did you
I
guys?
must be blinded by nostalgia because I didn't see any Yeah, it looks, as you say, it looks a bit. I think he looks a bit too bright or something as he's gliding into Times Square. But as you say, it's from 2002. You got to expect a bit of bumps. Or when he punches him into the lamppost and the lamppost just goes.
Yeah,
I always thought he
absolutely,
looked a
yeah.
bit smaller when it switched to CGI Goblin. I couldn't tell if he was just scaled down a little bit. But even
Yeah.
just one scene that comes to mind is when they found Uncle Ben's killer, and he's running, and then you can tell the exact moment they go from Toby to the CGI Toby, because he's
Defoe
he
actually
goes
in the night.
yeah, he instantly goes smooth,
Yeah, he's
randomly.
PlayStation 2 Toby for a minute.
yeah. And the most
You know
cursed
him.
thing is him on the wall, and you see that close up of his face with CGI, and it just looks
Yeah.
incredibly wrong.
Yeah, and whenever also when Spider-Man is swinging around the city, you could see that some parts of Spider-Man, the CGI was done very poorly because the scale, the proportion of some of his limb or leg were either too large or too small. It just kind of looked like they couldn't get it straight. They couldn't get it even.
Did you see,
uh,
when he saves Mary Jane at the Times Square thing, and it
Yeah.
cuts to swinging, holding it, and it's clearly a mannequin Spider-Man.
because of how
Yeah,
stiff it is.
He doesn't move. How did that get through? That's one bit I agree with you on. That could have been done a bit more.
Yeah, because for
absolutely.
all they do that's good, all the practical work, there's some where you think, hey, you could have probably thought of a different solution here if you were that insistent on practical work.
Yeah, I
You know,
assume
like
it's a
the-
green screen, the city behind them, because they're not going to shoot Kirsten Dunst on a blooming web with a mannequin, are they? So could they not just have
Yeah,
Toby
it's like
hold
a-
it for a minute?
Even just the way she looks at him, and it's the
Yeah.
most static and stiff thing you've ever seen.
Yeah. Look at him like you love him in this scene, Kirsten. Oh, okay. Oh, Yeah, that'll
Mannequin
do.
feel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that one scene though, from where they just when Harry and MJ are at the top during Times Square,
yeah.
and then he tries to kiss her, she looks away, and then Harry just sees Peter just staring dead at him. That never fails
Christ.
to make me laugh. It's one of the most weirdest scenes I've ever seen. Just him looking, piercing through. In a crowd full of that many people, he's able to pick Peter out right there just because of how much he's staring at him.
Yeah. Feels like burning into it.
Yeah, well,
And then
it's,
they do that in Spider-Man 3 where he's staring at Peter, except he just doesn't recognize him that time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, from
well,
the at the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
because
because they're linked, they can feel something.
well, Peter's a threat for Harry, for his love life. I mean, he always knew that Peter had something for Mary Jane, and that's that is the reason why he's always staring back at Peter and be like, "Oh, you want my girl, don't you?"
They're like
the
SpongeBob
betrayal.
and Squidward in that one scene where he's like, "We're like brothers, but only closer," and then he lifts up their shirt and intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because in Spider-Man 1, he was really nice to Peter, but then when we get to number 3, he's a total asshole and he's trying to ruin Peter. And the reason why too is because he know that Peter is Spider-Man. But then I remember Spider-Man 3 where he basically told MJ to break up with him, and they went to this lake, and Peter is talking to MJ, and MJ is telling him that it's not working out, and then Peter is crying balls out.
Crying.
He's crying. He's "Don't do this, please. What's wrong?" And then when she walks away, you see Harry there. He's "Good job." So he's he was totally trying to make Peter's life a living hell in Spider-Man 3, in which he did basically. So
What was with Bernard though? I never liked that scene where he waits till the very end to go, "Hey Harry, your dad killed himself."
Yeah, I fully
It's
agree,
like,
man.
mate, you could have used that about 2 movies ago. Like,
Yeah, you cleaned his glider wound, and you're only telling me now after I've had half my face burned off by Spider-Man.
yeah, like
You kidding
he's
me,
been
mate?
trying to kill him for the last 2 films,
Yeah.
filled with
Well,
hatred.
Yeah,
Well, no, the thing was that he had the Venom symbiote on him. That was the Peter Parker that
yeah, but Bernard didn't, did he? Why was he so evil?
Bernard. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I remember seeing a theory ages ago explaining this, where Bernard didn't actually exist, and he was Harry's psychosis, and then that was Harry finally accepting that it wasn't Peter, but the film does nothing to say that's the case, so it doesn't count.
The only argument you can make was just bad writing of him waiting then
Literally.
to tell.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's a nice
Spider-
headcanon just so it makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say Spider-Man 3 was like, it wasn't the worst writing, but I don't think it was good writing at all.
I
they
do
had-
love it, mostly because of how much I love Spider-Man, but it's definitely the weakest of the trilogy.
I feel like if you cut out a few scenes, though, it's all it needed was just to chop down a few of the campy parts, and it'd probably be pretty solid. Just like, the whole Goblin Junior scene right after it, isn't it the dance scene?
Yeah, put some
cut
dirt in
that
your
out,
eye.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, like it would completely be different. It would be,
Yeah,
I reckon
well-
3 should have been the like just an adaptation, basically a spectacular 200. Where Harry dies,
yeah,
that would.
or instead of Molten Man, they could have had Sandman.
yeah.
There's the two
Yeah.
villains.
And they just, I mean, I thought they just had too much going on. They were trying to introduce too many plots, too many characters. For the first time, we're seeing Sandman, we're seeing the Harry becoming the Goblin, Venom is there. So I just thought they were trying to do too much on number 3, which they could have just kept it simple, like number 2, where there's like one bad guy and they're all trying to stop him. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I know we haven't spoke about 2 yet, but just while we're on the topic of 3 anyway, I think the scene where the symbiote gets on Eddie and like it screams and camera goes into his mouth at the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should have been the last we saw of Venom until Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
I
'cause
mean,
it could build
I
up
agree.
to it more.
Yeah. Because one
Venom's
film
the
isn't
type
enough
that
for...
needs it.
Yeah, he deserved it. I know Topher Grace wasn't that good as him anyway, but he's still probably the best live-action Venom we've had. But
But
I
also,
think
like
so.
you said, though, they could have ran with the spectacular Spider-Man story with Green Goblin as the main villain, because that is
Yeah.
honestly like one of my favorite stories of Spider-Man. Was just
fully
the
agree. mate.
pure rivalry between the two. Even like that the dinner scene in the comics, where he's
Yeah.
got like MJ, Liz, his son.
Got Liz tied up and yeah.
Yeah.
You're all
Like, 'cause
terrified
then-
what's he gonna do.
But they could have focused so much on just Norman, like the fear of Norman from Spider-Man. Like the scene even in the book where he looks at the mask, and it's just that him staring at it, no dialogue, just him looking at the mask,
Yeah.
the Green Goblin one. Like there was so much they could have done, and that's what I think
Yeah.
is the worst part of Spider-Man 3 was just that main trio, like of Mary Jane, Peter, and Harry were almost like the heart of the films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have really dived deep into that with Harry being more evil and give him
Yeah,
a proper
that-
costume.
For
Yeah,
sure.
give him a real...
uh,
even just make him Hobgoblin if you have to, like... But just...
Yeah,
Yeah.
like stop
Stay
teasing the
there.
mask. Like you
Yeah.
had it there.
He had it right. That's so annoying to me. If he'd have turned up
Yeah, like
as the
what did
Green
Norman
Goblin...
do that for?
Yeah. Why has he got just like a snowboarder mask? It's just... It's not
Yeah,
a goblin.
Well, one thing that they did get right is that they killed off Harry on the 3rd film, which I thought that was as far as the character could go, because he did his thing with MJ, and now it's like he's having problems with Peter, and they were fighting each other, and now they're teaming up, so that they're best friends again, and I'm like, this is, I mean, it's a good thing that they kill him off, because it gave them like that good ending in like Spider-Man 3, give us that good ending, and I just thought that that was it for Harry. I just didn't think that there was much left to tell. I mean, after his father
Yeah.
died, he kind of becomes like the Goblin. He goes crazy, revenge, and then he realized that, you know what, Peter's my friend. And then after that, where do we go from there? I mean, I'm sure they could have found some idea if he was still alive, but then killing him off on number three gave us like that big ending where, oh shit, Peter's best friend died. You know, like Peter's life, his luck is there. You know, it's like he can't get away from it. Because remember in the first film, he lost his uncle, and at the end of that movie, they went to his uncle's funeral. And then in number three, he goes to his Harry's funeral. So the characters is, they're showing us that the Peter's luck is still there, and as long as he is Spider-Man, there's always going to be danger. His friends are never going to be safe, and I thought that they got that one thing right about killing Harry. I just thought that was the nail in the coffin.
I agree that he had to die, but like again, the way they do it in the comic is he decides to save Peter from his own death trap, while in this he dies saving him from another villain. So in the comic, Harry kind of realizes that Peter was his friend the whole time. Well, in the film, it's not really his choice to go in and die.
They both get their like somber moments as well, though, similar to the book, where they just sort of just hang out for his last bit of moment.
Yeah.
I like, in the comics where he puts his hand on his cheek and then just
in the
he
ambulance.
slowly passes away. But the movie still did a pretty good job, I think, with just sending him off with the sunset.
Yeah, it looks nice with the sunset. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that scene was like perfect. The sunset, and he's in like MJ's lab, and then Peter's there too, and the whole thing about that franchise was really the three of them, their relationship, and things that happened between them. That was like pretty much the core of those trilogy. I think that MJ and Peter's love romance was like, it was a crucial part of the movies, but also that James Franco as the Goblin, he was also like, he had an important role in those movies. So to kill Harry at the end of 3, I thought that was a good thing that they did. Unfortunately, I was expecting a 4th movie, but it never came out, guys.
All we got now is like those annual tweets in that one day in July where people go like, "That was today." Like they robbed me over with that scene with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
That's all we got
Please
now.
Remember,
just every year.
Every year. Do you just remember when they did that god awful that comic by like J.J. Abrams' son or something, and they started the countdown with a 4.
Yeah.
They started, instead of just doing 3, 2, 1, they tweeted a picture of a big 4 with a web in the background, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's happening." And then it was some crap about Spider-Man's kid who no one likes. What was that even called?
I can't even remember, to be honest.
It's god awful.
Me too.
It's like, but who would have known that would have just set up this like whole cycle of just replacing Spider-Man actors. It started there, and you got Andrew, then he got replaced by Tom, and then it's just a bit of a mess from then on.
I heard the rumors that they're trying to like pull Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire, but it's just rumors. Nothing is solid yet. They even asked like the director and the actor, and they're basically not denying it. They'll say like, you never know, but like nothing has come in like fruition. It's been like almost a year or 2 now, and like nothing has come of it. So I don't know.
It'd be modern Disney anyway, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It'd be full of multiverse crap instead of just being.
Perhaps it would be the Deadpool and Wolverine movie.
Maybe like they're talking about bringing them back for Secret Wars, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. But
I don't understand how they continuously would like bottle the big stories though. If the way that they're like, they could actually ruin Secret Wars by doing the multiverse is just insane to me. Because I prefer the first multiverse, the first Secret Wars, But
Yeah,
like in the
on
comics,
Battle
where it was
World.
just
Love
just
it.
like you get all the heroes and villains. But even then, they can't even do that right because they haven't even introduced any of the cosmic characters. There's no Galactus, there's no Surfer, there's no Molecule Man, there's no,
Yeah, we've only seen
Okay,
the
well,
Watcher in like a cameo.
Well, technically,
it's like
there is a surfer in the early Fantastic Four movies in that universe with
oh yeah,
what's
the
it called?
Rise. Yeah.
Jessica Alba.
With Cloud Galactic.
Yes, he was kind of like a corny Silver Surfer. So
He had some cool flying scenes though, like the one where he just goes through his board in the tunnel. I thought that was like,
Oh,
actually
it's creepy as hell. It's like Terminator, innit?
Well, that's why
Yeah.
they got to expand that. There's so many characters to do. But
yeah,
I
that's
want to
true.
raise you guys a question. It's just about the aesthetic of one of the characters.
Yeah.
What did you think of Mary Jane's hair color? Like the gradual progression through each movie? Because I thought the first one was perfect. And then she went
Yeah, it's
to
like-
like an actual ginger color, and I thought that was pretty weird.
Yeah, to me at least, I thought that the first one it was a little bit too reddish. That is the character in the comic. It has like this rouge type of color. But the second one, I thought that the color was just perfect. I just thought this is the modern, Mary Janes that we get in the movies. And just so you guys know, number 2, Spider-Man 2 was my favorite movie of all 3. So
Me
there
too.
you have it.
Yeah, it's got to be 2.
I feel like Spider-Man 2 is the best, but then my favorite is probably 1.
Nice.
I see what you
Yeah,
mean. Yeah, like for
Yeah, I acknowledge that that's definitely the best one, and that probably evokes the bigger emotional pull out of me. But Spider-Man 1 is just my favorite one to sort of put on.
yeah, I don't
Is
blame
it-
you.
Stash, can you tell us a little bit why the first one was your favorite? Was it like the pacing of the story? Was it something that you could relate to? Because I mean,
like,
go ahead, yep, and then
I just feel like it's the most like a comic book movie. I feel like like out of nearly every movie from like MCU to DC to that, I feel like that one always to me strikes me as like this feels like it could be a comic book. From
Yeah,
the
that's
dialogue,
true.
like Spider-Man.
It's Willem
is swinging
Dafoe,
in.
man.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe, he carries hard. But even
He's
just
like,
like
I
him
offered
swinging
you
in at-
friendship, and you spat in my
Spat in
face.
my face. Like, he comes in Times Square and then it's Spider-Man, and then the music
Yeah.
starts blaring. Even before when I said like, we'll meet again, Spider-Man, like that is a comic book.
Sleep.
Oh, I love.
yeah, like it's just like it's fun. Like it's fun.
He does that voice, man, that evil voice, and it just works for him. It just fucking
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
It's like
No
He
one
did it.
says no to me. And then
Oh,
just
mate.
the flame trains
Like a moth
transition.
to a flame. Yeah, he is 100% a
You're
comic book
incredibly
villain.
predictable.
he
It's
does
like
it in
it's-
no way home too. He does it with what's his name? Tom
Oh,
Holland.
yeah. The only
Yeah,
redeemable things about any of the MCU trilogy are the bad guys. It's the only time I thought the Vulture was cool. I love Mysterio anyway. But bringing back Willem and Dr. Octopus was the move
Yeah.
to make, defo.
So, like,
Yeah.
with No Way Home, I'll skip towards when like Norman loses his mind. Like as soon as he loses his mind, that's
It's
where I skip
boring
to.
otherwise. The only
Yeah,
interesting
like,
bits in the
that's the
first
only part
half
that
is him
gets
catching
interesting.
the villains.
Well, it completely shifts. Like the movie feels like a different movie at that point.
Yeah, it
When
was
you- when
Goofy
you go
Disney Channel,
straight-
wasn't it?
Yeah, the first half is definitely like, am I watching like Bizarre or some shit like that? And then it goes like, it just kicks into gear, and then all of a sudden, like as soon as it hits nighttime, the whole film is more serious. I don't even know what like John Watts was cooking, but like the way it changed completely. It was crazy. Like obviously Willem Dafoe had.
Yeah, I think he had a influence on that. Like I thought the tone switch when on Tom Holland's aunt died, when May Parker died. I thought that
Yeah.
the tone totally switched. That was, and it was on from there. It was like
If only he
Tina-
wasn't wearing that stupid suit though, because that
Oh,
scene
I
where he's like
despise
in
it.
the rain where he's like looking at Jameson's big, screen where he's talking about Spider-Man being a menace. If he was wearing like that final swing suit, that would be like honestly one of my favorite scenes ever.
Iron
Oh,
Man just
yeah.
ruined him in the MCU. I actually watched your video on that the other day, you know, where you're on about like the best and worst suits and everything, and I fully agreed at the end. What were they doing with the MCU ones?
Yeah, I mean, like, surprisingly, like, that video, a lot of the comments were either, like, extremely with me or extremely against me. And at times I was like, wow, this is my most controversial video. And I used to talk about She-Hulk. I'm like, this is crazy.
Christ.
But it was like, yeah, like, I was like, I don't understand it, because, like, the Iron Spider suit, like, what was with
Yeah,
that?
the concept art they had on that where it was just red and gold. That was fine.
Yeah, like,
but they did like a
yeah,
weird
and, like,
mishmash
nah,
of
it'll
the
be fine.
sensational suits.
No,
Like
absolutely.
they wanted Ben Reilly's for it, but they just didn't bother. They got halfway through and thought, nah, make it shiny.
Even just the final swimsuit, like, the concept art kills me, because yes, it's like one of the best suits we now have, but it could have been honestly like perfect.
We've got it now for
art,
2 minutes at the end of one movie.
Like, even in the concept art, they had the more classic back logo, they had the Ditko front logo, they had the Bagley eyes to the more, you know, Ramita eyes, which they went with, to McFarlane eyes, and then it's like, come on, you could have done something so good here.
Yeah. That's true.
But that's why
I've
even
Googled...
just like...
No, go on, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you're on about Mary Jane's hair... Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say about in Spider-Man 1, the costume. I thought that, honestly, that was my favorite one as well, out of the trilogy. Like, I like the more rounded spider on the back in the first one.
Yeah.
Before it became a bit more, like, thinner and almost, like, angrier.
Yeah. It's a very angry suit. His eyes on his mask are pissed off.
You're talking about the Tobey one?
Tobey Maguire's suit, his eyes. In 2, he was telling the kids, like, don't play in the street. And it's like, okay, Jesus. His eyes, like, spiky.
Yeah.
He's not messing with him.
It's definitely one of my favorite suits, too. I just like the design of it and the spider, like, on the chest. It's like a lot, it looks a lot bigger, I think. Like, it looks really big, and it's coming out of his costumes. I just love the way they made it. But yeah, I mean, he's his costume day. I thought it was fine. I thought that when they brought Tom Holland, like you guys said, the costume is a lot like skinnier, a lot slimmer. To me, the Tobey Maguire one was probably one of my best too. Yeah.
Well, like, I'll just swap the back logos around from 1 to 2.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, go on. You've interrupted me.
No, I was just going to say, like, I'll just swap those two around. Like, Spider-Man 2, the costume, and then the Spider-Man 1 back logo, and then you got, like, the perfect combination.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's true.
I do like the Tobey suits, but I wish the back Spider was less realistic, you know what I mean? Like, Spidey likes having a laugh when he's kicking ass, so the big, stupid, cartoony looking ones like fit his personality better. Like, as I say, it's an angry suit.
Yeah, that's why I thought
Spider-Man
1
like
had a better
jokes.
one.
Yeah.
Because the Spider-Man 1 was just
chunkier.
a bit more, like, the back of it was way more rounded.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why. I think that the stuntman that they hired was just chunky. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I always liked
because you see, you see Tobey Maguire's body, and it looks a lot different than the stuntman. You know, it's not really the same. The proportion of the body, the scale, it just does not look the same. But yeah, the Bagley one, you're talking about Ultimate Spider-Man?
Yeah, I love that back logo where the legs are combined, because he did that in the 90s as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But just something about that is just, it looks like, I don't know, right to me. Whenever I'm drawing Spidey, and if I have the back logo, I'm like always putting that one in.
Oh, cool, man!
Nice.
You're gonna
I like
have,
how big his eyes are in Ultimate.
I was gonna say,
huge eyes on his mask.
You're gonna have to share some of your art, man. I would love to see your drawing, buddy.
Oh, yes.
I got a few actually. Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice.
Latest one's Gambit. I love my Gambit.
Ooh.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. But guys,
when you mentioned Mary Jane's hair, sorry, I've googled it just like refresh my memory. So Googled Mary Jane Spider-Man 2, and it's come up with the one from the game where she's got like the man face.